Hello, hello. My audio working okay for everyone? Looks like it is. Hi there. I'm Linden, founder and CEO of IFT. Appreciate everybody joining today. We've been doing these Ask Me Anything sessions every other week for a couple months now. And this one's very special. We just made a big announcement last week with IFTTT Pro. We've seen all kinds of feedback, positive and negative, and honestly, I appreciate it all. We've been listening and learning, and we're staying flexible. I've said that a few times, maybe a few hundred times over the last few days, and we really want to kind of prove it with our actions. So right out of the gate, Pro itself, we believe has already been successful. We're seeing thousands, multiple thousands in some cases, of people upgrade every day since launch. It's only been out there for about 5 or 6 days now. And we're seeing about 100 to 200 applets being created every hour that use some of those new Pro specific features, things like queries or conditional filtering or multiple actions. So we're already seeing quite a bit of usage and also quite a bit of really positive feedback that is helping us adjust our roadmap. And we're going to discuss some things today before we get into Ask Me Anything around what some of those next features or improvements might be based on that feedback. Before we get to it, would love to announce the first, big change, and to really kind of, like I said, back up our words with action. One of the things we've heard from folks is both a little bit of confusion and some concern around what that set your own price means, how long we will honor it, and what our intentions are, afterwards, after that first year is what we initially launched with. And today, I'm very pleased to share that we've decided to go ahead and say that we're going to honor that set your own price indefinitely, forever. So you can sign up today or anytime within this first month since launch. Set your own price at, it starts at $199 and per month, and we're going to go ahead and honor that if you do that within this first month indefinitely. Our intention, even with launching with kind of an initial 12-month period, wasn't to immediately jack the prices up after those 12 months, but certainly can understand how people read it that way. Really what we wanted to do with set your own price was one, offer what we thought would be a very compelling deal to all the people that had been on IFTTT and used IFTTT over the years, and really kind of help them get up to speed and help us improve the product very quickly to get to what was really an aspirational price point. We launched with what we thought was an aspirational price of $9.99 per month after set your own price expired. And what we learned was, that was confusing. It's not clear just looking at the product that was really aspirational. That was us saying, we think we can build a product that's worth $9.99 a month. And we still believe that. But what we really wanted to do was really hear from users. What were they willing to pay? What do we need to add for them to be willing to pay, or for that $9.99 price point to make sense? And we've heard plenty, and that's the first big change. We want to honor set your own price indefinitely. So hopefully that's a big first step, and we're going to continue to listen and continue to make changes over time. So before we get to some questions, and I want to try to answer as many questions as possible today, would also like to share a little bit more about what we're working on and what's coming next, whether that's for Pro or for folks that are still taking advantage of it for free, and so on and so forth. So some of the things we've heard so far, and some of the things we've heard even over the last couple months as we've been doing these sessions, are really top of mind, and many of those things are things our team is working on as we speak. So right out of the gate, we need to follow very quickly with an actual proper archive section. So right now you can archive applets, but you can't find them. Where is that archive? That's something we're working on as we speak. You'll be able to go find all those applets in your archive, be able to unarchive them, manage them from there. And we want to build a whole suite of tools to help users who have, more than just a couple applets better manage those applets over time. So another thing that we're going to be working on really quickly out of the gate is more ways to pay. We've heard a lot of feedback from folks in other countries looking for ways to pay in their own currency, and that makes a lot of sense. Something we're looking into right now. One of the things we want to, it's in some ways it's a feature, in some ways it's a bug, is support multiple actions of the same type. Right now in Pro Applets or Applets that are created via Pros, you can have multiple actions, which is really powerful, but we want to make sure and allow people to have the same type of action. So if you have a Philips Hue action that turns on a light, you should be able to add in number of those same types of actions with slightly different configurations as well. So that's something we're working on. We're going to have easier ways to create filter and allow for filter edit and kind of creation on mobile. That's something we don't currently support and something we're working on today. We've got a whole roadmap just around publishing applets. Right now, it's not really easy. It's not super helpful. It's something we're working on as we speak. We also want to find ways to bring a lot of the new things that we launch in the applet creation process to applet configuration. So right now, I think there's a whole lot more options and ways to kind of go back and forth and test things, add a trigger, remove a trigger, add a query, remove a query, reconfigure that query, so on and so forth. We want to bring all of that to the applet configuration process. So after you've created an applet, actually bringing those things into that same kind of configuration screen that we currently support in the the initial creation flow. And then finally, a couple of small things out of the gate. Webhook queries. We've heard a lot of good feedback on those. I think those are going to be really powerful. Excited to follow quickly with those, and also better ways to find applets that have been published. What we call exploration or discovery. There's a whole slew of things that we can do there to improve that process. And one of the things I'll come back to, I'm sure, in some of the answers to questions that folks have, is one of the reasons we decided to create a limit around the number of applets that someone can create on IFTTT for free is frankly because of the dramatic success that we've seen with people just being able to find and enable applets without having to create them from scratch. So to give you a sense of that success, folks have created, over the years, over 120 million applets to date. And what we've seen over the last year or so is that for every applet, every one applet that's created from scratch, if this, then that, somebody clicking through all the steps and creating their own custom applet, we see 5 applets that are enabled, effectively people just saying, hey, I found something I like, published by another brand or another user, and turning that on. So that ratio has been pretty steady over the last year or so. So for every one applet that someone's creating, there's 5 applets being enabled. And you can enable applets that are published or found through Discover or Exploration or Search, absolutely free, and that will continue to be free. So that was one of the driving kind of data points behind some of the decisions, and I'm sure we'll have other questions about other data points that drove some of those decisions as well. But anyways, again, I'll stop the opening preamble here, open it up to questions. I sincerely appreciate all the feedback, any concerns, any positive reactions that people have. We're thankful, and we want to continue to try to do what's right by everybody involved. We really believe in building trust, and we know that charging for anything that's been free for a long time is always a hard thing to do, and we want to continue to listen and learn and try to continue to improve and do the right thing. So thank you. I'll start with questions right at the top. So kind of starting at the top of the hour. Maybe we'll start here with Tim Clixby at 11:05. He says, Pro is a good idea, but it's too technical. Would love to understand, what's too technical about it. One of the things we'll acknowledge is that the filter section is, aptly named filter code. And one of the features I mentioned that we're working towards on the roadmap is actually removing the code part, allowing people to create filters just with a mouse and a couple of clicks on the keyboard. So not something that you actually have to know JavaScript to do. And we've also seen a lot of people sharing, YouTube videos or other kind of guides that help people copy and paste some of that code. So we think we can do 1 or 2 steps better than that and make that even easier for folks over time. Let's see. Somebody said, RIP IF. Great username. We're not going anywhere, but appreciate it. Yeah, you said we're not raising the 3. And let me share a little bit more about the 3. I mentioned the huge disparity in terms of applets that are being enabled from published applets to applets that are being created. That's 1 to 5. So many people are able to find applets and enable those applets for free. We really felt that 3 was fair in terms of creating your own custom applets. And we also feel, now that we've extended or made that set your own price point indefinite, something we're going to honor for as long as you're around and we're around. We believe that 3 is a really reasonable price or reasonable limit for the price that we're currently, kind of asking. And it's a set your own price. So, if you compare us to other services, there's one with a Z, I think out there that people know about. Our price point is 10 times less than their initial, $19.99 a month. And that's also for 3, what they call zaps. So I think that's one data point, one comparable point. And we certainly looked at others, but we'll continue to listen and stay flexible. The SIM architect is asking, can we not pay with PayPal? So it's something we're looking into. A workaround that has worked for a number of folks is that we support Google Pay today, and Google Pay allows you to add PayPal as one of the payment options. So that might be a workaround that you should try, Mr. SIM architect, and let me know if that works for you. We've seen a lot of positive feedback on that as a workaround. Drew, you're asking or maybe stating that people bought products based on the IF logo on the box, and this was something they paid for, and we've taken that away. And I've heard very similar sentiment from others. And we hate to think that we're taking something away. Would love to explain a little bit more about how the business overall works. So we allow brands to be on IFT or put our Works with IF sticker on their box for as little as $199 a year. And that's a flat price. So if you have 10 million users that are connecting their accounts to IFT as a brand, you can do that for $200 a year. And frankly, we don't even look at that $200 a year as a revenue stream. It of course is revenue, but we really look at it, and the reason we even charge anything at all is to keep the quality in the ecosystem high. We think that if a business is serious enough to build for IFT and publish something that lots of other businesses and users are going to depend on, they should be willing to pay a very small amount to kind of prove that seriousness. We kind of learned a lot from, I think that's one of the good things that Apple has done with their ecosystem to keep the quality high is basically ask people to pay a little small amount to prove that seriousness and make sure they're not out there trying to scam folks. And that's worked so far. Now, almost, certainly not all, but a majority of those services on IFT are either currently paying that $199 developer fee, or as their next renewal comes around, they'll move to that. So for us, the real business on the enterprise side is built around both the ability for those businesses to publish their own applets and to bring those integrations into their own experiences, like folks like iRobot or Capital or Husqvarna. Oklahoma Gas and Electric has some awesome integrations. And that's where that per user fee kicks in. So the big reason why we felt that now was the right time to introduce Pro and to even introduce this controversial applet limit was that it really allows us to reinvest in building features specifically for the folks that are creating their own applets and want to do something more custom. And there's kind of an old adage, if you're not a customer, then you're the product. And that certainly, I don't think that necessarily applies to IFT, but we felt ourselves being pulled in a direction by the brands that we work with that we felt was pulling us away from building and prioritizing a lot of the things that really users, and specifically users that were creating their own applets, would want. And we wanted to make sure that we gave those folks an opportunity to become customers and allowed us to reinvest that money and time in building features specifically for them. And this is just, Pro is really just the beginning of those features. And I mentioned some of those features we want to add quickly over time at the beginning of the session today. Let's see. Andreas, I think I might have answered some of your question there at 11:07 in that recent answer. Let me know if I didn't. Happy to follow up. David is asking, clarify what publishing an applet means to the individual user. Yes. So I mentioned, we have a lot of things we want to build around publishing applets. We admit that it's not super easy to do today, and we want to solve that very quickly. So publishing an applet is basically taking an applet that you've created and allowing other users of IFT to use that applet without having to go through all those steps, without having to think through, okay, I want to turn on this light, or I want to look for this type of calendar event or this type of tweet. And there's a whole lot of options. It starts to get a little bit complex, options to kind of show fields for users to kind of input additional information. Say you want to search for very specific types of tweets and have those tweets be different depending on who that user is that's enabling the applet. You can show that field, or if it's something that users shouldn't need to configure, you can kind of hide that field and make it a lot easier for people to turn it on. So publishing is something that both users, whether they're free or pros, and brands can do. Now, to be really specific, only brands in our team or enterprise tier can publish applets with their own username. And those applets, are given special treatment. They're allowed to kind of pin those applets on their service page, promote those applets in various ways that allow those applets to really kind of become the, kind of the de facto standards for those use cases. But any user can publish an applet, and that's something that we really, believe in. Those published applets, because you can publish an applet for others and then also turn it on yourself, we decided that is very much like creating your own applet for your own use. And so that is counted in that 3 limit for free users. And that's something we're obviously open to feedback. And as we kind of double down on the publishing experience in general, would love to hear more about how to make that better. Hopefully that answers your question. Let's see. RipIF still all about pro, nothing about free accounts. Hopefully I answered some questions there about free accounts. Again, what we see is for every 1 applet created from scratch, there's 5 applets that are being enabled from a published applet. We want to follow on with tools there. So there's a whole lot of value in those free accounts, we believe, and we want to increase that value by making the publishing tools and experiences for people that are game to publish their own applets even better. So we're not raising the 3 limit right now. We're obviously listening. What we did today is we made sure to be crystal clear about honoring that set your own price forever. So if you're willing to sign up for as low as $1.99 a month, we're going to honor that forever. And we want to make sure that that's really clear, and that's something that hopefully is kind of a floor for the value we create. And we want to create more value over time. We think we can create a pro plan that's worth much more over time. So hopefully that's a good first step. Username. says the stream was a brave choice. Hope you're not being harassed. It's okay. I totally understand. Honestly, this if this is something that has turned into really kind of a life's mission. Obviously, we're a for-profit company, but I believe so strongly in what we're doing and the need for what we're doing that I've really become really to associate myself with IFT. And if we're going to make tough decisions like introducing a pro plan, we should be willing to stand up and take any kind of heat or criticism or even harassment because of that. Obviously, we hope that doesn't happen. And, frankly, what we want to do is continue to listen and make changes, meaningful changes like honoring the set your own price forever. And I promise to continue doing that. And a big part of both Pro, these Ask Me Anything sessions, and the Set Your Own Price was a way to start that dialogue over time. If we're not, making IFT better, both for pros and for free users every month, then you should hold me accountable. And I think that's one of the really clean and good things about allowing users to become customers. We're now essentially accountable, not just to free users, not just to paying brands, but also to paying users. And you have the choice to cancel your subscription any month. And if we're not being reactive and not improving our service, then our business isn't going to flourish. And I think there's something very clean and transparent about that relationship. And it's one of the things I'm really excited because it allows us to justify that investment in users to keep them happy and keep them coming back and keep them happily paying us each month. William, I didn't read the press release. I have a couple notes here. But that's all I've read so far. Let's see. Dhruva Jindal, I apologize if I'm mispronouncing that. So you're saying, so this applet is, if this applet, with the help of this applet, you could read the value. Sorry, I read that question out loud and just understood it. You might write in, hit me up on Twitter at @LTibbets. Happy to answer that question. It seems like it might be a little bit more technical or require some exploration to get a full answer to you. I talked about at the top of the hour, rip IFT there. You're going to make me read your username every time, and that's okay. I dig it. For every applet that's created from scratch, there are 5 applets that are used from a published applet. So it's far and away more applets being enabled for free from published applets, but we have a lot of work to do to make them both more discoverable, easier to search for, easier to create and publish. So we're not done there. We're not patting ourselves on the back, but it was one of the reasons we felt strongly that this was kind of the right way to limit things but still allowing the free accounts to be extremely valuable. Let's see. Pardon me, my chat keeps jumping around here. Hopefully I'll move a little bit quicker through these, or if I answer some ahead before I get to them, that's even better. Okay, back to Luxon. You said applets found through discovery is free. Is there any limit on the number of the same applet found through discovery? I think what you're asking, is there any limit to the number of applets enabled from discovery? And the answer is no. You could enable 1,000 from discovery. What we're limiting, and this is one of the things that we need to do a better job of and be much clearer on, is limiting the applets that you create, custom applets that you create, to 3 for free. So open to feedback on how we can make that clearer. So see, Arnold, if we provide a really good service, it might be a reasonable contribution per year. Hopefully, we said set your own price. We're going to honor that forever. Hopefully that makes sense for you. Open to feedback on if it doesn't. Jaisal is saying, high school student, awesome. Trying to create a smart home on a strict budget. Totally understand. You spend a premium to make sure our products are if enabled. And if Pro, you're saying that $10 a month is not affordable. We hear you loud and clear. And that was part of the clarity I wanted to provide at the top of the hour. We're honoring set your own price forever. The lowest price point there is $1.99 per month. And we said that the $9.99 per month is something that we really aspire to. We want to create a service that is that valuable. And obviously we have some work to do to get there. For now we're honoring that set your own price, and hopefully that helps you kind of continue to create that smart home project on a budget. Yeah, so Jeremy, you're asking, would we publish the triggers and actions that are available for each service up front? So that's it's one of the things on our roadmap. I don't think I did that justice as I kind of read through that list really quickly. That's one of the big things that we need to improve. And so we're working to get a much more accessible kind of directory of what services are available, what their triggers, queries, and actions are, what are all the fields that they support, what are all the ingredients that they support. That's not something that's super easy. We have those things, but right now I think that the easiest way for a user to really find them is to kind of use the create flow and kind of click into each one. It's super cumbersome. We've got to fix that. It's something we're working on as we speak. Let's see, Sim Architect, you're saying Google Pay, how? It should be one of the options there on the Pro subscription page. If you're not seeing that, hit me up on Twitter and I'll dig into why not, but it should be there. I've done it myself a couple times. Yeah, so Arnold, you're saying you already paid for a Sonoff device and you're not happy about paying IFT. And so totally understand that. We talked at the top of the hour how we have price points for businesses that start at a flat $199 per year or $199 per year to be really clear. For us, that doesn't fully support everything that people are going to do when those services publish. And so it's one of the reasons we're asking folks to set their own price and hopefully turn users into customers over time. Lily, you're asking how many companies are connected to us. Last time I checked, it was over 650. I think it's 654, 55. We're adding a couple each week. We have a huge kind of in development backlog of folks working on the platform. And that has really accelerated this year as we've introduced that flat developer plan for $199 a year. So not only have we kind of introduced different price points for users with Pro, we're really now also kind of coming to a point where the entire business, all the different ways in which IFT generates revenue and creates value for customers is now on the table. And frankly, until the beginning of this year, many of those things weren't there yet. We were kind of working with each customer on a one-off basis, and it just wasn't super transparent. So it's again, one of the reasons why we felt confident that this was the right time to invest in a Pro plan for users. Rip IFT. Will you ever be convinced 3 isn't enough? Honestly, perhaps. I feel like 3 is, there's something nice about 3. There's a whole lot of services out there that use 3, and now it's hard to compare IFT to other services. But use 3 is really kind of the sweet spot for folks to create things, test things out. One of the things that we are seriously considering is how to extend some of those Pro features, the things that you can't access yet, things like queries and multiple actions until you subscribe to Pro. How do we extend those even to those 3 free applets as well? Almost think of it as kind of a true trial. And it's something we're looking into and think that there's definitely some compromise there that makes sense for everybody. So people can kind of see, okay, well, should I pay for more than 3? And what do I get? And it's right now, it's a little bit unclear until you upgrade how all that stuff works. And that's something that we need to improve on to allow people to access or try out for themselves before they buy. Drew, I must admit that people are angry. Sure. I'm sorry that people are angry. Obviously, our intention isn't to piss people off, but we also, we kind of expected people to be a little upset, and I think, speaking from experience as a user of other services that started free and then started to charge, or even services that have raised their prices over time, that there's never really a great way to do that. That said, again, it's one of the reasons why we felt so strongly that launching with a set your own price, and now, like I announced at the beginning of the session, allowing people to feel confident that we're going to honor that price forever if they sign up, now with the set your own price thing, really hopefully gives us a lot of room to continue to improve and to win people over. Again, we want to build the best possible product, not only for brands, obviously those are customers too, but for users as well. And the best way to do that is to create a relationship in which those users are customers, because you're going to hold us accountable. If we don't deliver on this stuff in the roadmap, you're not going to pay us next month. And so I think that is, one of the best relationships and the best ways to build trust. We want to make sure that the value that we provide matches the price that we're asking. And that's one of the reasons why we're kind of pushing that $9.99 aside and saying, look, we're gonna honor set your own price forever. Eric, you said, well, that's our effing problem. Charge the companies more. Sure, maybe. In all honesty, we did a little bit of that. But before we had that developer plan, before we had the fully integrated Connect experience, that was just kind of a one-off thing. It just didn't make sense. It wasn't a scalable business. And for us, we feel very strongly that to create the most value for users and companies, we've got to have a near free or very low cost way for companies to get on the platform. There's a whole lot of small startups out there that are just, one or two people in the proverbial garage. I'm sure people still start companies in garages nowadays, but more likely something other than a garage. And for those folks, they should be on IFT, and there's a whole lot of value that they can create for other users and other companies, but they're maybe not ready to build kind of full integrations and bring those integrations into their own apps and products. So we need to have a very low price point, as well as a price point that scales with usage and value over time as people adopt Connect and some of the other integrated features that we offer businesses. So that's one of the reasons we can't just turn around and say we're going to charge businesses more just to put the sticker on their box, because frankly, a lot of those businesses aren't in a position yet to take advantage of all that IFT has to offer, but they can create a lot of value for users and other businesses that are ready to do that. So we feel very strongly that we've kind of finally solved that puzzle, but we don't have everything right, and we're going to continue to listen and evolve. Let's see. John Francis, you're asking, what are your opinions on going tiered levels rather than just free and pro? And you're kind of talking about tiering in terms of the number of applets. And frankly, that's something we seriously considered. We felt it began to be really kind of confusing. We felt that helping people think through how much they valued 10 and then 20 and then 30 was just something that was hard to figure out. A lot of our users and a lot of the people that we think will become pros or have already upgraded to pro are people that are using IFT for their own personal stuff, whether that's their smart home or other things in their own personal world. And so it felt like it would be kind of easier and more widely adopted if there was kind of a flat price that allowed folks to create unlimited over time. And we'll keep listening there. Obviously, there have been other people that have asked that same question. And maybe there are other ways in which we can slice and dice things that make it easier. But, frankly, for the low price or the lowest price that you can pick, set your own price for $1.99 a month for unlimited, that seems pretty darn reasonable. And if not, we'd love to hear why not. Arnold, you're saying you don't think I get enough of the arguments to defend this action. Would love hear more. Obviously, maybe I don't understand everything, but would love for you to follow up later on. I see that you did. We'll get there soon. Yeah. So Garbine is asking the pro pricing. Is there any difference between paying $6 or $10? So no, that is what Set Your Own Price is all about. We said that we aspire to create a pro plan that's as valuable as $9.99 a month, but acknowledge that we have some work to do to get there, and want to kind of make that a dialogue to kind of work with users to figure out what are those things that create more value, but also give them the option to pay what they think is right and honor that price forever. So you get the same thing regardless of what you pay. We obviously would love if you'd pay more than $1.99, and we've seen a whole lot of people do that. We appreciate that. But I think that's what we're offering. It's to set your own price. Dylan, you're saying, why is it when I turn off my iPad, I have to restart the Wi-Fi? I don't know if I can answer that question. That might be a question for the Apple folks. Let's see, Eric, you said, I subscribe to Pro. What do you think about allowing unlimited created applets within 3 brands? That's interesting. I think one of the challenges there, though, is not everybody has those specific 3 brands, and even managing those 3 brands can get a little bit confusing. For instance, Google is a customer. They have 8 or 9 different products on the platform. When you say brands, people might say, well, Google. But what we might mean is specific Google products. So we felt like this was the right kind of compromise to limit it around Applets, because that was something that was very specific to IFT that hopefully we could kind of fully control in terms of explaining how it works. Let's see, Melvin is saying you have 4 Alexas, 1 for each of my kids' rooms, and you only allow those items to be controlled via IFT. You have to buy 4 monthly subscriptions. No. So one, you can do it for free if you could do it all with just 3 applets, or if you could do it with applets that other people have published. I know for a fact that there's thousands of published Alexa applets for all kinds of different services out there. So if you can find one and just turn it on, you can do that for free. But if you need to create more than 3 of your own, you should be able to do that all from just 1 account. Albert saying that the 3 applet limit is a bad idea. Appreciate your feedback. We're going to continue to listen. Like I said before, for every 1 applet that's created, 5 are enabled from published applets. So there's a pretty big discrepancy there, and there's a whole lot of value that people are currently already getting, and that's still free. So that's one of the reasons we decided that this was the right way to go. Drew, you're saying if the smart home market was regulated, you would be in trouble. So yeah, I don't think that's the case. But honestly, like I said, we're not trying to piss people off, and we feel like the best relationship possible with anybody that's trying to get value out of any company is to become a customer. So if you'd like to become a customer, we're making a promise that we're going to keep making it better for you. And even if you want to remain free, we're going to continue to invest in free users as well. But having that option, I think, is the absolute cleanest possible relationship to justify investments over time. And that's what it's all about. Tristan, I might maybe answered your question around manufacturers at the top of the session, but the gist is a lot of those companies can work with IFT for a very low flat price. It's not until they want to publish their own applets or bring those integrations and applets into their own products that they have a per user fee, and that fee really only scales with the number of people that are turning those integrations on. So for us, it's not a matter of just turning around and charging the businesses more. And if we did that, well, we're beholden to them. We're going to build more things just for those businesses. And, frankly, one of the mistakes that we've made is not doing something like Pro sooner to allow us to also invest in and improve our products for end users as well. And that's something we're trying to make up for here with Pro. Let's see, Nathan, you're asking, how do we know what the capabilities of Pro are and how much it is worth to us? So we've got a couple websites. Certainly we'll share some of those links, and maybe Peter can do that here in chat that kind of explain a little bit more about what Pro is. But also with the set your own price, you can sign up for a month, try it out, and cancel at any time. So I know we don't have a free trial available yet. It's something we'd like to build. But hopefully that's easy enough for people to try it out. And when you do try it, please let me know what else we should be working on. Yeah, Hexen Major, forever. Yes, we're going to honor set your own price forever. We'll make sure that's really clear, not just here in the video, but we'll make sure that's clear in any other materials we provide and in the product as well. That's a change, based on us listening to folks. And it's one we feel really good about. So hopefully others feel good about that too. Let's see. Eamon KDN is asking, can we have a longer delay before archiving our free applets? October 7th is too close. That's a great question. We debated this a whole lot internally. We felt that a month was enough time. We talked about, well, shoot, maybe people are on vacation. Maybe people may not see an email that we send. So we really didn't want to have people scrambling with just a couple days to make changes. So we felt a month was plenty of time. Would love to hear what you think might be more appropriate. Our intention isn't just to cause people to run around and scramble and cause a lot of problems, whether that's in their smart home or in the services that they've hooked into IFT. But at some point for us, we do feel strongly that the limit makes sense. And the Pro plan is the way we're headed. So we want to make sure to respect users and give them plenty of time. We've still got 2.5 weeks for folks to figure things out, and we want to continue to improve the product to make that even easier as we get closer and closer to October 7th. Jeffrey, you're saying, will there be a way for free IFT users to request manufacturers to publish certain applets? So it is something we want to support natively in the IFT platform. You can make suggestions on applets that those manufacturers have already published, and that is essentially kind of like a feedback or review functionality for those services. But ahead of some of those improvements to the IFT platform, I'd encourage you, Jeffrey, to just reach out to those manufacturers on Twitter. What we found is the more you ask them directly to build stuff, and building and publishing an applet is something someone can do in 5 or 10 minutes. It doesn't take a whole lot of work once they're already on IFT. They're more than willing to do that, but they need that feedback from you directly. So I'd encourage you to just ping them on Twitter or ping their support channel, whatever that might be, even if it's outside of IFT to start. See, Albert, you say you have a small business. You decided not to do an IFT integration, even though you've been in talks due to this change. Would love to learn more about why not. We think it's fair and that there's still a lot of value, but obviously we're open to hearing more. So appreciate the feedback. In Tech, you just signed up for $199 a month. Boom. We got a new Pro subscriber. Thank you. David, you're asking about service reliability. Sometimes services don't work or they go down or up. So one of the things that is included in Pro is we're running applets, especially polling applets, much faster. And that's something that IFT can control. Now, that said, the vast majority of slowness or downtime unfortunately is due to services. We have hundreds and hundreds of APIs on IFT. They go up and down. Some go down more than others. So I think if you're having trouble, certainly reach out to us. And again, with the Pro plan, we have somebody that will answer your support requests directly, but also would encourage you to reach out to the brands themselves. Those brands control all the APIs and the published applets on the platform under that brand, and they can do a lot of work to improve some of those experiences as well. But they need to know about it. And that's something that we want to bake into the platform over time to make it easier for you to effectively review or give feedback to those brands themselves. Jim, you say you'd pay $2 for the account. That's great. You can do that today, but you'd pay $10 if we had multiple profiles. So that's one of the features that we're working to add. It's going to be a little complex. It's something that we've heard from, frankly, kind of the first couple of months after launch 10 years ago. And it's one of the things that we think will probably be a part of Pro Plan over time, and totally understand and understand the use case and the desire for that. So it's not available yet, but it's something we'd like to add. Yeah, so username, who has the best username, by the way, is saying you saw some information regarding applet reliability or applet speed. Address that a little bit to clarify. So for Pro, if you upgrade to Pro, we're running those applets that you have as a Pro subscriber faster. So what that means is there's roughly, there's two broad categories of applets, and their speed is largely dictated by the trigger. That's the big limiting factor. So there's polling applets where we ask an API over and over again, hey, did something happen? Did something happen? Did something happen? We usually run those, every 15 minutes, every hour, kind of depending on the service itself. And we're trying to run those. I believe that's within 5 minutes now. And we're going to make that even smaller over time and run that faster. And there's overhead associated with that. So it's one of the reasons why that's part of the Pro plan. But there's also, now the majority of triggers that are being published are real time. So they basically, we don't have to ask them over and over again, did something change? Those APIs tell us, and then we take action. We essentially run an applet. And for those, we're prioritizing the Pro applets. Those should still run within seconds and in many cases milliseconds, but we're still going to run those Pro applets at an expedited, prioritized clip. And we feel like that's also another reason why Pro is valuable for folks that, even when seconds count, that we can run those a bit faster for you. Skipping ahead a little bit, it looks like we're probably going to run out of time for questions. We're going to keep doing these sessions. So if I didn't get to your question, either ping me on Twitter, trying to answer every question that people have on Twitter, or tune in. I think it'll be in 2 weeks. We'll do this again on a Wednesday. Let's see. Jaisal is asking, could we give a discount for an annual payment? Yes, that is something we're looking at. Right now, we only support monthly, but we'd love to also support kind of an annual pay up front with a discount. So that's coming. I can't say when that's going to be available, but certainly it makes a lot of sense. And it's something we're definitely willing to do. It's just a kind of a matter of time. So appreciate that. Jim Wells, does feedback actually matter? Certainly does. We've made a ton of changes to our product roadmap based on feedback that we've heard over the last 2 months. And today I announced the first change to Pro based on that feedback to honoring set your own price forever. So we think that's a pretty substantial change, and certainly won't be the last change. So we're not just doing this for damage control. And frankly, we're not just doing this because we love to talk to ourselves. We truly value it. And even if it's really negative, honestly, that helps us kind of course correct, and it's okay. You're not going to hurt my feelings with a negative comment. Tristan, you're saying, wow, we're up to 3-4 subs now. No, I think we get 3 or 4 Pro subscriptions every few seconds. So it's largely working, but we're not patting ourselves on the back. We still have a lot of work to do to make Pro valuable for everybody. And we're going to keep plugging away at it and keep listening. Yeah, Justin, thank you. I won't repeat your comment, but we agree. Like I said, If you're not the customer, you're probably the product. We haven't done anything that I personally don't want to stand for or don't believe in over the years. We think we've done a really good job of making trust a central part of what IF does over time. That said, when it comes to investing in product improvements for people, if that person is a customer, they're always going to get priority. And that's what Pro is all about. We want users to be customers too. And we want to build things specifically for them, irregardless of the brands. And so I think that this is our attempt to make that right. See, Byron, Tim, I appreciate the support there. Certainly, we believe in that, but we want to make sure we're making this transition as easy as possible, and acknowledge that it's never easy for folks to hear news that something that they were able to use for free for a long time is now something that they need to pay for. And we want to make that as easy as possible. And like I said, continue to listen and remain flexible. So yeah, we did announce this at least 5 or 6 days ago, and we've got all the way till October 7th before there's any big change. And we want to continue to listen in terms of how long that time is and why folks need more time to kind of either make a decision or manage their applets to a place where they still feel good about it. So we'll continue to listen there. Yeah, username, thank you for clarifying that for Nathan. The filter stuff isn't supported on mobile yet. That said, it's only supported on web. We're working on bringing that filter ability to mobile. We're also working to make filter much easier to use. So you don't have to know JavaScript at all to use filter. That's something we're currently, I think we're in the design process on, but something we want to follow really fast with. See, Tristan, you're asking how many of the 650 companies on the platform pay more than $199? Hundreds. But that said, there are also hundreds that just pay $199. And the real difference there is not just about whether those brands show up on IFT. So for $199 a year, your brand can show up on IFT. You can put the Works with IFT sticker on your box. You can have millions of people use it on IFT. It's really the difference is publishing your own applets as a brand and kind of controlling some of those best of breed applets out there in the community and Discover. We talked about how for every applet created, there's 5 applets enabled through Discover. But the big kicker is, and the real value is in bringing those integrations into your own products in a way in which your users as a brand don't have to download the IFT app, don't have to think about if this and that, can just turn it on like they would any other integration that they might find in another app out there. And that's the big difference. And that's only been available just this year, along with the developer plan. So that business is evolving on the enterprise side for the brands themselves. And some of that evolution has really justified and created the right kind of moment for us to do Pro to allow us to continue to build stuff for users as well. Yeah, David, you're asking, can we talk about improvement to support? So I had an issue that you responded to on Twitter. Thanks. Turned it over to support team. I've heard nothing since. I apologize. Ping me again on Twitter. I'm going to do as much as I can personally to try to support folks, whether they're paying or not. But one of the things that Pro offers, and we should be doing a good job of already, but you should hear back directly from someone at IFT with your support request. And that's not, frankly, it's just not something we can do for free with millions of users. It's almost impossible. And I don't know of a whole lot of other companies that can do that unless those users are also paying customers. And so again, one of the reasons why we've had that robust support for the brands themselves for years now, and we want to bring that to users too, but we have to be in a kind of a customer relationship with those users for that to make sense. Tom, $2 a month is fair, $10 isn't. That's great feedback. We've heard that from a lot of folks, and that's one of the reasons why we're going to honor set your own price indefinitely. So good to hear. And please let us know what can we do to create $10 a month of value for you. That's really our aspiration. Gabor, you're asking, can you keep your custom applets under the free plan? So if you've created those from scratch, you can only keep 3. If you upgrade to Pro for a set your own price as low as $199 a month, you can keep all of your custom created applets. If they're applets that you've enabled from a published applet, which the vast majority of applets out there that we're running today are those types of applets, then those will continue to be free, and you can keep those without upgrading to Pro. Skipping down, I want to make sure I may touch on a couple of the questions here down at the bottom. Yeah, Arnold, hear you on the $120 a year. Hopefully that set your own price change today helps solve some of that for you. I really appreciate the people in chat here. I know I've probably done a poor job of getting to everybody's question. I really appreciate folks chiming in and answering people's questions in the chat. That's super cool. Thank you. David, cool. Thanks for the follow-up. And again, for free, ping me on Twitter, and I'm going to do my best to help solve your problem. Travis, great question from Travis Ladd. Is there an easy way to identify your applets as custom or not? So if you open up IFT, whether it's the mobile app or on the website, and you go to essentially the home screen after you've signed in. On the website, it's literally called home, and in the mobile apps, it's like the main screen. There's a tab there that says, all applets and then created by me. It's that created by me tab, and there should be a number there that is the custom created applets that you've created for yourself over time. Let's see, Jordan, you're asking one that's about, can applets and command run when your internet connection is down? The answer is it depends. If it's an applet that depends on a service connected through your home internet, so say your Philips Hue light bulbs or your iRobot vacuum, those are services that connect to the internet via your own internet connection. So those, depending on what the use case is, may or may not work if your internet service is down. But the majority of services on IFT are pure cloud services, things like Dropbox or YouTube or Twitter, and those really work irregardless of your own internet connection, because they're connected to APIs in the cloud. so those should work. Cool. I think we're actually 2 minutes away from the end of the session here. I appreciate everybody tuning in. Appreciate the feedback. Please keep it coming, irregardless of how you feel. If you still feel negative, that's cool. We want to hear from you, and we're going to continue to listen and stay flexible. For us, building IFT over the years means so much to myself and the entire IFT team. We really appreciate everybody who's ever even tried IFT, whether they're a brand or a user, a pro, whatever. We're working to do right by them. We know that this change is not easy, and we want to continue to evolve and try to do right by folks. So we really appreciate it, and thank you for listening, and thank you for bringing your questions and concerns. So with that, I'll sign off. Please, hit me up on Twitter at @ltibbets on twitter.com. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, because we'll be doing this every other week, and we'll see you soon. I appreciate it so much. Have a great afternoon, evening, morning, wherever you are. Thank you.